Welcome everybody, this is BisuDagger continuing day 2's cast on the microphone. This is the round of 8. We have 2 more opponents after this in a PvP, but first we have Movie versus C. Now Movie, he is down 1 game to nothing. And the map is Fighting Spirit, so a nice balanced map means that Movie can go for any build that he feels comfortable with to try and gain the advantage and come back into this and bring C back into a 1-1 scenario. Go to that ace match, the number 3 game of this best of 3. So if you're cheering for a Terran player, C is probably the Terran player you should cheer for, because he, like I mentioned earlier in the last cast of game 1, is the best Terran player on the scene right now. There are several other players that are doing decently well as Terran players. In fact, Mind is playing awesome during the Pro League for KT Rawlstar. And then we have additional players like Sack. He's doing pretty good for SK Telecom. On the other hand, Movie, he is not defending his best Protoss player title very well. There is another Protoss player, Bisu, who has just come out with great win rates in Sonic Pro League. Not showing great results in the newest Sonic Pro League, but did really well in the King of the Hill one. Meanwhile, Movie, he's not carrying NBC game to those constant victories like we would expect him to. And look at those magazines. Those are awesome. I wonder how long ago he was able to get those magazines. There's some sweet covers there. And I'm pretty sure that was Jaedong on the right, because it would definitely not be these two guys. They have not won individual tournaments in that 1.0 era of Brood War. So now we have C expanding with that barracks at the front at his natural base. So it's going to be a bunker expand for him. A very safe build for the Terran player. Meanwhile, Movie behind this, what exactly is he going to go for? He does have a gas on the way. So with this gas build, you know, sometimes you think, okay, he could be rushing DTs, and that's something he could go for with the Cybernetics core dropping down. And it's going to be based on how quickly he drops a second gateway, because if Movie drops a second gateway here, then he could be going for some really heavy Dragoon harassment and try and bust down the front and win there. I think the strategy for that, if you're going to go for that 2-gate heavy pressure, is called bulldogging. I'm not entirely sure of the strategy, but I was actually supposed to do a cast on Protoss bulldogging, but to live another day, we will approach that strategy at some other time. Again, everybody, thank you. While we have time, let me just give a shout out to GOM TV, which is now becoming GOM XP. They're moving their website. They're becoming even bigger and greater. So thank you so much as you guys are transitioning to this new website. We really appreciate the fact that you will support Brood War in your ventures here. It's very popular in South Korea right now. And it's great to see all these old players coming in here and rising to the top again. In fact, if you guys have seen the threads lately on Team Liquid, a player named Snow, who I love this Protoss player, along with Free, are looking to play in the individual leagues in the Sonic Star League number 10. So that could be very exciting too. Now, the SCV, is it going to make it up this ramp here? No, C is not going to be able to get inside this base, but as a Terran player, when you can't get your SCV up that ramp at this timing, sometimes you get that chill, that feeling that maybe something's going on. So another gateway is dropped down, but that's not enough to convince me that it isn't Dark Templars. But of course, you might want to proxy a gateway if you're going to go fast DT, so that way you can get your Dark Templar across the map much quicker here. And Movie's not doing that either. So with 2 gateways down, it could be heavy Dragoon harassment at that front. I mean, 2 gates worth of Dragoons this early on, if you're not prepared for it as a Terran player, can be just a living nightmare. The range upgrade is on the way, and if you were going to go for DTs, then you probably would skip over that range upgrade to get the additional gas so you could get your tech buildings out to go for the Dark Templar tech. So that's the last time I'm going to save DTs. I do not believe it's going to be that way, and it's definitely going to be 2-gate Dragoon pressure. There is a Zealot there too, but you really don't want to push out with the Zealot any further. It can't do that damage from far away that these Dragoons can. Another SCV, is that the same one getting caught in the map here? It looks like he's only got one no, okay, they have it on clicked on here, and he's got full health. That's just my poor vision, guys. and 27 SCVs and 4 Marines to 4 Dragoons and 1 Zealot. But of course, C, he's got his factory on the way, which means that tanks and siege mode will be following up here. And C can only pray that he can get his siege tanks out fast enough with that siege mode upgrade, so that way he can deal with this Dragoon pressure that Movie is going to be bringing very quickly here. Look at, he's hiding his units kind of in the middle of the map. He's not ready to go all in with them yet. But this is pretty near an all-in build. If he's not successful, if it doesn't work out right and he doesn't do that amount of damage that he needs to, it can end up costing him the game, because you can fall so far behind in economy. So the Dragoons, there's only a few more left before they come in here to engage. And is this bunker gonna fall? It looks like Movie, he's just kind of getting a surrounding here, but it's gonna tip C off. He's gonna need to bring some SCVs, and now he just moves in right away. He's gonna pick off that bunker. It is really low on health into red, and finally it does explode. The Marines are just fodder to these Dragoons. He's got to micro them back though. If he loses the Dragoon, that's gonna be a huge mistake here. And now siege mode from that tank, and one shot off, already getting one of the Dragoons down. The SUVs are doing a great job of repairing on top of that supply depot. And why did Movie focus on that supply depot? That was a huge mistake. He needed to make sure he focused on the SUVs, get that SUV count down right away. But instead, he focused on that building and lost a few more units than he needed to. And there is no follow-up with this. The rest of the Dragoons are either at home or sitting outside that natural, but he only has 6 Dragoons in total, and 2 siege tanks really is much stronger than 6 Dragoons, especially with those buildings in the way. It's going to be impossible for him to get those units in there, but he had been probing up heavily behind this, so it looks like he's going to be able to just expand into that natural base. The Nexus is finished up, and this could turn into a later game. Movie, he's going to have to play very defensive though, and now with that Reaver technology that we see coming along, he's going to have to hope that the Reaver tech will pay off, because it is pretty heavily an investment to go for that Reaver tech too. Shuttles are always good against mech, but if you go Reaver, then you're investing a lot of gas early on, and you got to hope that you're not wasting that gas on Reaver versus having a legitimate army to fight C with. So now the Dragoons are making their way back. Going to probably run right into this Vulture, and C does react very quickly here, but eventually it does get taken out. The Dragoons are way too strong here. And now the Observer is out, which is going to be really good for Movie. I guess what they were focusing on, if you were watching the Observer of this game, is he was focusing on the fact that the observatory is finished up, and now detection is available for Movie, so he could see those Vulture mines that can be very deadly against the Protoss army if you do not have them in range. And so we're seeing right here, these Vulture mines actually backfiring on C, taking out one of his Vultures, but there is a Dragoon that's really low on health. It should probably take out... Nope, the Vulture killed the Dragoon off first, even with the Dragoon's superiority to the Vulture and a one-on-one attack. More gateways are on the way for Movie, but he's still, you know, decent army size right now. He does have an additional Nexus, taking that third, and if he can hold that third down earlier on and take advantage of the fact that he has the third finished up first, then he could put C behind. He can start, you know, saying a 3-base Protoss versus 2-base Terran. That's where things kind of even up. He's got 7 Dragoons and 2 Zealots. Meanwhile, 7 tanks are finished up here, so really defensive with these tanks, and turrets are going to have to defend against the Reaver attacks, but I think he has them in really good positions. This is going to be a huge mistake for Movie if he tries to push in with this shuttle. He may want to decide to turn back here. I don't know if he's going to make it all the way to the SCV line, but he's going to go for it anyway. And it looks like the shuttle makes it past the first turret, but there's an additional turret here. He drops the Reaver out, and the Reaver's going to get one shot off. The Scarab runs around and only kills off a single SCV again. What is with this? Movie is not having the luck of the draw with these Reaver Scarabs. This is so unfortunate for him. That was a huge loss, losing the resources from that shuttle and the Reaver at the same time, only killing off one SCV. That is not an even exchange at all. So the Terran Armory is done. He's going to be able to go, C will go for those upgrades, but he could also build Goliaths in case he needs to respond to Arbiter play from our Protoss player Movie. Now the Templar Archives is finishing up, which means that he can get the Arbiter Tribunal after, and that is the standard follow-up to the Templar Archives. Really, High Templar aren't going to be too useful right now. The Arbiter is going to be such a more useful unit at this time, because stasis can really control the battlefield against these tanks, and the lack of being able to see the Protoss army as they run into your Terran army is pretty frustrating if you did not have that detection available to you as the Terran player. But see, he's got those comsat stations available, probably has them all hotkeyed up so he can respond very quickly here. Now the Arbiter Tribunal is on its way. 2 more gateways getting put down here too. Now Zealots are getting dropped in to do friendly fire on top of these tanks, and Movie's doing a bold move here, but only 10 Dragoons and 1 Zealot left. And these SCVs are putting the Dragoons in a really bad position here. And now they are going to get picked off with the tanks again. And so Movie, all he has in his entire army, 0 Reavers, 0 Zealots, pure Dragoons, but only 6. Meanwhile, 9 tanks, 4 Vultures. This army is way too strong here. And you know what? He can even add in Goliath if he wants to. Oh, look at that Spider-Man. It is just following the Dragoons. Is it going to dot out? Will it eventually go down? No. It chooses another target. Not the one we expected. But eventually the shield damage does happen to Movie. So just one more, you know, annoying thing happening to him right now. And see, he's deciding to move out. A very smart player. C almost always knows when he has an advantage with his army and can just go ahead and take out his opponent. Why allow Movie to re-macro up and be prepared for this Terran mech force that's about to come into play here? So now with these Goliaths in play, they're going to be able to pick up that shuttle right away. That shuttle dying so quickly here. Units aren't even able to fall out. I wonder how many of them did die inside of it. And now Movie, he's going to have to type out GG. Only 4 Dragoons left at the end of that game here. Way too strong of a mech army. And C, acting like it's nothing, was able to win 2-0 and will be advancing to the round of 4. He is the first winner of today's Week 2 matches. This is GOM EXP's Classic Season 4.